In news from the territory's criminal courts, we learned that one St. Croix man has been charged with driving under the influence, while another faces assault and battery charges following a reported larceny incident. A 911 call on October 1st alerted police of a possible drunk driver operating a Toyota Tacoma, and responding officers found and stopped the pickup in question. The driver, later identified as 58-year-old Michael Hartledge, complied with requests to turn off his vehicle, upon which it began rolling backwards because he had not placed it in park. Once that had been seen to, Hartage provided his driver's license, vehicle registration, and proof of insurance, and told police that he was coming from a sports bar. Police noted his slurred speech and the stench of alcohol emanating from his body, while he told them that he had consumed 3 miniature bottles of vodka. Hartledge reportedly staggered outside the vehicle and subsequently failed the 3 standardized field sobriety tests which were administered. He was arrested and charged with driving under the influence and operating a motor vehicle without a valid driver's license. He posted the full $1,000 bail before he appeared in court on Monday, and during his advisement hearing, the judge ruled that the bail amount would not be adjusted. However, Hartledge must now surrender his passport as he is barred from leaving St. Croix without the court's written authorization. He is also not allowed to drive with the exception of trips to and from work, for medical emergencies, or to attend Alcohol Anonymous meetings. 48-year-old Victor Martin, also of St. Croix, was hauled before the courts on charges of simple assault and battery and disturbance of the peace by fighting. A VIPD officer was responding to a call about a larceny when they met an uncooperative Martin who was shouting. The man called the officer a, quote, dirty Babylon, and refused the assistance of the officer that was at the scene, instead calling on a supervisor to travel to the location. While there, the officer met and interviewed the complainant, one of Martin's neighbors, who said that when it came to doing work on his property, Martin was continuously having difficulty determining the boundaries of the land. The neighbor asserted that he left home on October 1st and returned 2 hours later to find a small coconut tree planted on his property, which he believed Martin had placed there. The man removed the plant and threw it across the street before driving into his yard, prompting Martin to call the police. Martin claimed that the tree had been planted near the eastern border between the 2 properties, and told the police supervisor when she arrived that he and his neighbor had been having this ongoing issue where the neighbor was constantly trespassing on his property and removing items. Martin said he had planted 2 coconut trees, one of which was the one his neighbor had uprooted and discarded. Officers noted that the neighbor had a concrete wall on the western side of his property. However, on the border between his and Martin's land, there was no barrier. They also observed a row of small palm trees and saw where the one in question had been removed. Police advised both parties that their dispute would be best resolved by going to the Department of Planning and Natural Resources to have the properties properly surveyed. The neighbor began to explain his side of the story, which agitated Martin to the extent that he began to shout again. After Martin asked him to calm down, he went to the bushes and retrieved the palm, replanted it in its original location, and walked away. The neighbor went to remove it, upon which Martin pounced, pushed the other man away, and punched him several times in the chest in the presence of the horrified police officers. Martin was immediately handcuffed and escorted away. In court on Monday, a judge ruled that Martin was allowed to post 10% of his $1,000 bail requirement to secure his release. He is to have no contact with his neighbor or any witnesses in the matter and must stay at least 50 feet away from the alleged victim.